How many of you have been on a high ticket phone call trying to sell your service or product and the person gives you an objection and you have absolutely no idea how to handle it? In this video, I'm going to go over some of the most common high ticket sales objections that you get and how to overcome them. So stay tuned because we're gonna go through it in just a few seconds. What's up guys, Chidester here, teaching you how to build profitable online businesses. Now, before I go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get more content on how to overcome high ticket sales objections. Now, getting back to the point, high ticket sales objections are gonna happen all the time. Anytime you're selling something for 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand, whatever, you're gonna get objections simply because it's super expensive, right? So fewer people are gonna want that. In fact, the statistics say that about 3% of your leads are going to buy your high ticket sales product. So if you get 1,000 leads, only 30 of those people will actually buy it, okay? So it's not a very large portion, but when you're selling something for 5, 10 grand, 30 people times 10, you can do the math, right? You don't need that many people to buy. So getting into the first objection is very common: price. Right? The first thing they're gonna say is, you know, I really like what you're selling me, but it's just too damn expensive. And most people, what's happening is it's not that it's too expensive, it's that the value you've given isn't high enough. So the first thing I always like to do, right? And I'm gonna go through this, I call it the objection circle. There's other people who have different names for it. I'm not like the one who created it, but it is something that I've learned, especially doing door-to-door sales, which are actually harder than over the phone. So the first thing you're gonna do is obviously agree, okay? Make sure that you agree with whatever they say. If they say it's expensive, you say, hey, I totally get it. I know this is super expensive, totally understand. The second thing you're gonna wanna do is then go back to the pay and say, hey, so I totally agree with you, but like you said earlier in the call, the whole reason that you're still stuck is you said that you're actually not willing to make big, hard decisions, right? Would you agree that this is a hard decision, or whatever you're gonna say, right? You go back to that pain. And then once you get them to agree, you will then finally go back to the close. And it's this big circle that you just continue to go around and around and around and around again, right? So you close, they'll object, you agree, you go back to pain, you close. They object, you agree, you go back to pain, you close. And it's a similar cycle. So they'll say that, I go, so look, the only thing you really need to do at this moment is understand this is a big decision and get out your credit card and let's start. Amex or Visa or whatever you're gonna say, and you go back to the close. And maybe they object again, right? Let's say this time they object to go, oh, you know, I don't have time. That's another common objection. So that was the first one, price. Let's go into the second one. So now they say, you know, it's time. You say, I totally understand, you're gonna agree again, but like you said earlier, and you go back to the pain points that you should have brought up earlier on the sales call. Now, I'm not gonna go through all that in this video, but earlier in the call, you should be asking questions that help you close at the end when they object, right? The whole point of asking questions in the beginning of the call isn't to be nice, it's to learn what they need, it's to learn their struggles, it's to learn their concerns, it's to learn what they've done in the past, so you can use that as ammunition to close the deal when they start hesitating, when they start saying, I don't think this is a fit. So whenever someone says time, right, I go, look, everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. It really comes down to your priorities. So it's down to you. Your life is here, you want it to get here. The only way it's gonna get there is by using my service. And so is it gonna become a top priority for you, or are you just gonna keep pushing it down the list? Whatever you're gonna say. So there's a million objections handling ways I could go with this, but the most two common ones you're gonna get is probably price and then probably time, or the third one. And before we go into that, make sure that you hit that like button so more people who need help with high ticket sales can see this video. But the third one is then going to be one of the other most common objections, which is let me think about it. Here's the reality. When someone has thought about it, they already know what they're gonna do. And when they hop off the phone, they're not gonna think about what you had to offer a second longer, okay? They're not. The second they hop off the phone, they're gonna start doing something else. So again, I would say, hey, look, totally get what you're saying. You need to think about it. Let me ask you a question. And For maybe a beginner, you could say something like, what is it you need to think about? I find that as the buyer becomes more sophisticated, which means they've been on more sales calls, they've been in business longer, that's gonna take a different approach. And so I would just simply say, like, Tom, look, I understand the need to think about it. Let me just bring this to your attention. Before you got on this call, and again, you go back to the pain and then you go to the close and the process repeats. Once you've done that process at least 3 times, if they're still not willing to budge, it means you either need to get better at sales or they're just never gonna buy. That's it. There are some salespeople who will say, hey, I can sell anyone. I don't believe that, it's not true. They've never sold every single person they talk to, so even though they believe that, it's not true. You don't have to feel bad about not selling everyone. You can't really sell someone who doesn't want to be sold, okay? You can raise their level of certainty, you can raise their level of trust, stuff like that, but either before the call they have a high degree of like, I need something like this, or they don't. Trying to sell someone a pen who wants a car isn't gonna work, right? If you even remember in The Wolf of Wall Street, there's actually a book. There's a moment where Jordan Belfort says, sell me this pen. And his whole point with that is don't try to sell the pen to someone who's not in the market for a pen, right? The great part about high ticket sales is if you do it right, you can beat a lot of objections before they ever get on the call. But when they object at the end, the biggest thing I want you to take away from this training here is you close, they object, you agree, you go back to pain, you close, and you just continue to go through this cycle over and over and over. That's really the best advice I can give you in the short amount of time I have to do a YouTube video without one-to-one coaching you. Now, if you want more in-depth information or more detail on your specific sales calls, you can go and apply to eliteCEOs.com. There should be a link in or below the video where we actually do one-to-one consulting, helping people grow their online businesses. So I hope this video was helpful. If you need more specific instructions or something related to this video, please comment it down below. It really helps me and my team to know what kind of content you guys want, because I'm always trying to be quick, to the point, and just put stuff out there that actually helps you guys versus a bunch of dribble and garbage in 13-minute videos. So I hope this video helps. Make sure to like and subscribe, tell a family member, and I'll see you guys in the next one.